Low energy, unfocused, foggy? You might be dehydrated. Whether it's hot yoga, over 100-degree weather, or too much sun. Gatorlight, with a specialized blend of 5 electrolytes, was scientifically designed to help move fluids into the body faster for rapid rehydration. Shop now at retailers nationwide. Gatorlight hydrates faster than water. Is it in you? Symptoms noted are signs of mild to moderate dehydration. Consult a healthcare professional if symptoms persist.
Now at Lowe's, faster quotes start at the Lowe's Pro Desk. Got a material list handwritten on a sticky note or saved as a photo? Perfect. Bring it to us and get a quote in minutes. And if you don't see what you need on the shelf, we'll help you get it. You can access thousands of products beyond what's available in-store or on Lowe's.com, right from the Lowe's Pro Desk. Build quotes faster and source the materials you need to keep your jobs moving. Just like that, at Lowe's.
This message is brought to you by Apple Card, Shave Ice by the beach, a trip to the state fair, and a throwback flick at the local drive-in. They're more than just items to check off the summer bucket list. They're also opportunities to earn 2% daily cash back when you use your Apple Card with Apple Pay. Apply for Apple Card now and use in minutes with Apple Pay. Subject to credit approval. Apple Card is issued by Goldman Sachs Bank USA, Salt Lake City branch. Terms and more at applecard.com.
From the Fifth Quarter Studio in Madison, Wisconsin, you're listening to the Coaching Youth Hoops Podcast.
They're playing basketball.
Here's our hosts, Steve Collins, and Bill Flitter.
Welcome back to another episode of Coaching Youth Hoops. I'm your host, Coach Bill Flitter. Today we are joined by veteran and I guess a guest of the show, two-time guest of the show, Coach Powers. He's the boys coach over at Acalanes High School in the Bay Area. Coach, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing great. Anytime I have a chance to talk basketball is a good time of the day. So I'm very excited to be here, honored to be on your show.
Coach, you started coaching 30 years ago, and you've been teaching for 29. Did you learn a few things along there?
I'm trying to. I'm still learning. And,
right?
I think if hopefully anybody that's listening to this will be able to take that with them, that just don't stop learning. There's so much that we don't know that we could all probably fill a big arena and just be open to that. But yes, I have learned some things along the way too.
Well, we're definitely going to dive into those. And one of the things we want, we got together again because I just wanted to get an update from you. And, it's always great to have a veteran coach on the show to teach us young guys, so we don't make the same mistakes, right? That's why we're here. But, I wanted to dive into this idea of the mentorship in basketball that you brought up to me, because I think it's really important. And, if you think about like a typical high school basketball player, they may have multiple influences, we'll call them, right? Parents, their high school coach, or even their grade school coach. And then the third one is, any AAU program they're on. That's a lot of voices in a young person's head. And, hopefully they're aligned, but I am sure, as you know, and you've experienced, they're not always aligned. And the question is, how can we, as that young person's growing mind, help him develop with all the different voices?
Yeah, well, I think, I can appreciate you bringing that up, because I just had a conversation with a player last week, and I made that very statement. I know you have a lot of people that you're listening to. As the high school coach, I am not the sole contributor to his improvement. He's hearing from a lot of different people. So I think I think as much as like for the high school coach to align themselves with the AAU coach, and for the AAU coach that's listening, I think it's important that they try to reach out to the high school coaches that their players are feeding into, because it doesn't do the athlete much good if he's getting a lot of different ideas. That doesn't mean they have to be completely the same, but I think just developing that relationship with the AAU coach as a high school coach, or the AAU coach developing some type of relationship with the high school coach, really is helpful.
Yeah, and
I
again,
think
this
also
is
communicating with parents.
yes, absolutely. This is an ecosystem, and I've been in situations where, the girls that I train in my area, they're going to go on to typically, two different high schools for the most part, maybe three. Okay, one of them being yours, and then we got Campo and Miramani, and there's of course a few outliers from there. But I always make it a habit of reaching out to the coaches, right? Just to say, hey, you have these X number of players. Here's their strengths. What do you want me to work on? Right? They're coming into your program. What's
Yes.
your philosophy? What's your teaching? Because as an AAU coach, I don't have, and I'm not putting myself on a pedestal, but I don't care, because I approach it differently, right? I'm thinking about the child. What's best for the child, right? This coming up. And I want to teach them the basics. As I always tell my kids, I don't, yes, we have a set offense, but it incorporates so much that it doesn't matter what you play in high school, because you're going to use these tools that I'm teaching you and whatever offense your coach wants you to run. So I think it's just important as an ecosystem, we work together versus keeping this thing in silos. Or even, I've gotten snubbed by some high school. I've been a high school coach, right? I've been a high school coach at some of the best programs in the Bay Area too. And it's like, oh, you're just a fill in the blanks, right? That's the
Yeah,
attitude that
right.
I get, which is, that's not the way it should be.
No, and I think that the idea, and certainly you can't coach if you have 10 girls, they go to 3 different high schools. You're not going to be able to,
Yeah,
help everyone specifically, but
correct.
it
Yeah.
is a different deal for you, because as an AAU coach, you really are, working just solely for the kid. Like you made that point, like you don't really care, like you're just trying to help develop the player that you have. And it's different for a high school coach, because a high school coach is working for his or her program. So that even just in the, at the baseline level, an AAU coach and a high school coach have, they're working for different groups. Like you, as a high school coach, you are
Right.
working for and wanting to help each individual player, but you're also trying to build the high school's program.
Yep.
Whereas a AAU coach, it's a little bit different, where, you have a closer relationship with each of the individuals. And so I think just putting that on the table and realizing that there are differences, and the more this, I think, adds to the communication, that it just helps. Ultimately, it helps the player,
Yeah.
because the worst case situations are when the high school coach and the AAU coach are just so far apart, or the AAU
Yeah.
coach comes and watch the kids play in high school, and what's going on, and this coach doesn't know that, and and maybe somebody feels good when they say that in the moment, but really who is getting hurt is the player that's caught in between, because they're trying to do right for their AAU coach, they're trying to do right for their high school coach.
Yeah.
And the closer the relationship you have between the high school and the AAU coach, you cut a lot of that stuff out, which is really only an ego. That's only an ego thing, that why coaches might even come into a gym and say something like that.
Yeah.
So as we want our players to put their ego aside, coaches, we have to do the same thing. And my ego certainly allows me to have my players play for other coaches. I think it's a good thing that they're playing for other coaches. I respect the coaches that they're playing for, and I do take time to try to build relationships with those people.
Right.
And yeah, at the end of the day, we are trying to help make the most healthy, functional situation for the athletes that are in our programs, whether it be
Yeah.
AAU or whether it be high school.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. We got to put the focus on the players, right? Not on ourselves. Uh, yeah, and as we're talking about, mentors and being in their ear. There's some situation, and that our area as well as I do. It's like you can easily go from one school to the other, right? So it's not that difficult for a student living or a child living in my town of Moraga to go to Acalanes, although they should go to, Mirmani or whatever, right? So with that being said, it's, they'll ask me, from a player perspective, right? Or from a team perspective, where do you think I fit in the best? Or questions like that, right? They'll ask me, and of course, I'm always delicate with that situation and ask them lots of questions back about, well, what are you trying to accomplish? What are your goals? What about academics? Where does that fit in? Are there, so don't make your decision based on the team, because one, your career could be cut short for whatever reason, and now you're going to that school where you may not fit into the community, or your friends are going to a different school and you only had your basketball friends that went to
Right.
that school. You know what I mean? So, it's again, it's an ecosystem that we just all need to participate in with the focus on the player. But let's dive into your values. So I'm assuming 30 years coaching.
I just say one other thing about the mentorship.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Yeah.
It is. I just think for a beginning coach that's listening to this, an old coach that's listening to this,
Yeah.
having people that you can reach out to that will give you constructive criticism, that aren't
Yeah.
just there to stroke your ego, is imperative. Find somebody, and they're out there. Even if you don't have a large group of coaches that you have, that are within your reach, it is amazing how many people would just, if you reached out to somebody that you like, that their style or something about them, and you don't even know them, if you reach out, chances are very good that they will reach back to you. And I think if you don't have somebody that is experienced, then that is helping you, then where would a coach get their, where are they going to get their feedback in regards to whether or not they're doing a good job?
Yeah.
And it's not just wins. There has to be more to that. So I just encourage coaches to find somebody and reach out and be willing to be coached. And I think they'll find that they will be more confident. They will improve as a coach. And as much as we can be introspective, retrospective, I think we're doing our teams, our programs, our community a really good service to be that type of coach.
And also it's funny you mentioned that too, because one of the other groups that I guess I invite into quote unquote my circle of trust, are a few key parents who, one, I trust their opinion, or I know that they'll at least have the right intentions in mind. Even they're a little bit biased towards their own child, so you can't obviously just have one parent's perspective. But I do engage with them quite a bit, either at practice or after or outside of practice, to just to ask them questions about style or communication, or not necessarily the basketball stuff, but all the other stuff that's involved. And I think that's important too as a coach And that's why we do these podcasts too, right? If you're, this particular one, we appeal more towards, the grade school type coach, teaching younger kids. But it is, there's a lot of coaches that want to coach in high school that listen to this. B, everything you say, so far and have said in the past on this show is I can take that as a grade school coach and use that advice as well. So it's having these types of conversations that I think are crucial to the development of the kids.
Well, and for the listener that like you mentioned that I am a high school coach, and that's what I've done for 30 plus years, but I'm also currently coaching my son, who is in 11U AU, and I've been coaching that group, NorCal Elite, for 3 seasons now. So I was with 9U, 10U, and now 11U. So I'm right in the heart of grade school youth coaching, and a lot of what I teach and the other coach that I work with is how do you develop players that will be a good high school player, like somebody that is aspiring to. What are the things, even yesterday in practice, like the things that I'm talking about to the group is how they run over to a coach, how they stand in front of a coach when he or she's talking. Do they lean up against the wall when the coach is talking at the end of practice? To which I'm always, you're not leaning against the wall. So it's just as a youth coach, it's not just basketball. It's not just dribbling. It's not just shooting. It is listening. It is your body language, how you present yourself. And so I think that I look at it, having done it so long in high school, I know what the high school coach is looking for. And so I think that's where, if you get mentoring, if you connect with somebody, or you connect with the high school where your kids are going, or at multiple high schools, I think you'll hear information beyond just, we want you to teach them how to dribble. Because frankly, I think that stuff has a ceiling. There is a ceiling to how well you can shoot, dribble, pass, see the floor, those things like that, where there is, that ceiling gets risen when you start adding in your attitude, your effort, your eye contact, whether you're a great teammate. Those things now take whatever skill level, and now you become even better, more valuable than you would be if a young player wasn't hearing those things. And that's what I would encourage what I would encourage the youth coach to make sure that they're also spending time on just the things that help players learn.
Yeah, the little things. I had my big thing recently especially with my 10U team is, I'll blow the whistle and they'll walk over. I'm like, what do we like? I'm not waiting for you. Like, when I blow the whistle, you come running over. And I explain why. Why is that important? It's not just because I'm trying to be, this authoritarian. It's like, if this were a game and we called a timeout and you're walking over, I'm losing 10 seconds of my 30-second timeout, right? And then you're going to get water, and then you're going to, right? And then, so, you got to sprint over, right? We're in training. Or the one that got me yesterday, I have in kind of the other way, I've been coaching this as a 14U team. I've been coaching them for several years, and they're, they get to the point where they get comfortable with you, right? And to almost to a point where it's too comfortable, and I had 10 girls. And we were struggling with Indian bound play. So I had 5 on O on a shell drill, right? And then 5 were sitting on the sidelines or baseline. Well, I turned my back because I'm focused on the court. They're sitting down, chatting with one another. And I'm like, no way. Like, right? I'm like, hey, up and on the baseline, because you're going to learn something just by listening to me that I may not say when your group is up, right? So little things like that you have to teach them.
Well, you saying that, and this is hopefully a takeaway, that somebody doesn't have yet as their part of their coaching bag would be, that is such an important thing that you're teaching their bill. Like, they have to understand, if I'm talking to one player, I'm talking to everybody.
Yeah.
And that needs to be reinforced, because if it's not reinforced, then, that whole idea, whatever you do regularly, then it just becomes a habit. So
Right.
then if they're
Yeah.
standing on the sideline
Yeah.
and they're not listening, and really what you're doing is you're preventing some future bad situation in a practice, because there's, there are a couple things that really kind of are going to be pet peeves to coaches.
Yeah.
And one of them is when you are correcting something and then somebody comes on the floor and makes the exact same mistake that, Bobby or Sally just made. And if you can teach them at 10U or still 14U or at a lower level, a younger age, that this is really important to you. Like, this will help you. This will save your teams from a bad practice.
Yeah.
Those are the things that get you on the baseline and make a coach run, because you're not listening. So if you, in your program, whatever programs these coaches are a part of and coaching in, if that can be the things that you're looking at, you're helping that kid. Like, now they go to a high school and the kids on the sideline are actually listening, because they realize that he is or she is talking to me as well as the person that is
That's
being
right. Yeah.
focused on.
Well, let's dive into values. Every coach, and especially high school coaches, they have their set of values that they share with their team. And I'd love to understand over the years too. So when you first started coaching as a young coach and up to today, how have those values changed, if they have, or there's still, is there still a core value that you're carrying with you for 30 years?
Low energy, unfocused, foggy? You might be dehydrated. Gatorade Zero powders have been scientifically designed to help improve hydration balance in the body. With a clinically proven electrolyte blend and no artificial colors or flavors. Great tasting hydration no matter where you're going. Shop now online or at retailers nationwide. Gatorade hydrates better than water. Is it in you? Symptoms noted are signs of mild to moderate dehydration. Consult a healthcare professional if symptoms persist.
Now at Lowe's, faster quotes start at the Lowe's Pro Desk. Got a material list handwritten on a sticky note or saved as a photo? Perfect. Bring it to us and get a quote in minutes. And if you don't see what you need on the shelf, we'll help you get it. You can access thousands of products beyond what's available in-store or on Lowe's.com, right from the Lowe's Pro Desk. Build quotes faster and source the materials you need to keep your jobs moving. Just like that, at Lowe's.
Yeah, a great question. And I'd like to think that one of the core values is just the idea of being a great teammate. That is something, and that's on all of it was something in my earliest days, and today it's basically on every scouting report at the end of the report. It will be a great teammate and make tonight a great experience for your teammate. And it's just the beauty of the game when people are connected together is, it's what makes basketball such a beautiful sport. So that is one of the core values that we have, is just working hard at being a great teammate.
Yeah.
Another value that wasn't so much early, but is much something that we focus on a lot more, and that's just the idea of listening, and being a great listener. I say it at the end of our banquets, at the end of the year, when I have everybody together, and you have the opportunity to sort of make a statement about what you're looking for in the future, young kids that want to continue on in the program. And it's basically two things, and that's be a great teammate, as I said, and be a great listener. Because if you're a great listener, then you will hear the things you need to hear to be a better player. And then if you're a great teammate, then as you as you understand what it takes to be better, Now you bring people along with you. Now you help your team. Now you're somebody that people want to play with. So it to me, it's kind of as simple as those two things. Like if you're a great teammate and you're a great listener, everything will shake out as it should. And being a great teammate is not just, waving a towel or slapping five. Being a great teammate is getting into the gym and doing the work when nobody's watching so that you're getting better, so that in a month, 2 months, 6 months, you will show improvement on the court that then helps them, helps everybody, helps the coaches, helps their teammates. So I think it's important to kind of dissect that. Okay, what does that mean to be a great teammate? And what does that mean to be a great listener? And just create that list. And from there, those are the things that you want to make sure that you're teaching to on a daily basis.
Yeah. And reinforcing those. And yeah, absolutely.
And reinforcing those. Yes.
Yeah. Well, and, like you said, I think what's really important is the definitions of those, right? What does it mean to be a great teammate, or, what does it mean to be a great listener, right? And, drilling into the details, and because otherwise we have our own perceptions, right, of what being great. Well, I give them high fives and I show up for practice all the time. That's a good teammate, or I'm always, doing X, Y, or Z. But in your mind, like you said, I think what's important too is like, no, being a great teammate is you're putting some extra work in. So when you do show up to practice, you're going to be well prepared, as an example, right?
Yeah, because it's not just for you. All that work isn't just for you. All that work is for anybody that's going to play with you, anybody that's going to coach you. So that is, I like what you say as far as like creating your definition. And you're right, it's not cookie cutter. I wouldn't get on here and say it has to be these 5 things, but if you're a coach and you're like, okay, I hear that, and it makes some sense. Well, then take the time, get in a journal, write out what a great teammate would look like. What does a great listener look like, and go from there. And I as we try to develop these characteristics, I think it's important also to figure out what is going to need to be unlearned and what are the things that we don't want to do, so that, because that's, not to go down another path, but one of the things that we have to be aware of is it really is about helping our players learn.
Yeah.
It's about learning, and part of learning is unlearning. Because for every kid that's trying to be a great teammate, for every kid that's trying to be every kid that's trying to get better, something has to stop being done in order for them to be able to improve. Yeah. Something has to, I'll just say it as I say it, and think something has to die. No more. It no longer exists. In order to become better. If you're going to cling, and one of the things that throughout this, that maybe I'll put in a book plug, or an author plug, or another podcast plug, and one of them is Chop Wood, Carry Water. The important thing about that book, Chop Wood, Carry Water, is that one of the things that they talk about is that you're not clinging to things. You don't want to cling to things. As we cling to things, it makes it hard for us to move forward. And I'm drawing a blank here on the author of that book. I want to be able to. It will come to me, and I will share that, because I think that that's a book that would be good for coaches to read. It was suggested to me by a college coach, and the thing about Chop Wood, Carry Water is it really is about just being a servant. It's about being a great teammate. It's about doing things for other people. And then that's where we will gain the greatest amount of pleasure, satisfaction. This feeling of accomplishment is by helping others.
Joshua Medcalf. is the author.
Metcalf, yes, he's written a lot of really good, and they're all kind of written in parables and stories, and but that would be if there's a coach that's looking for a book that's going to help him or help his or her team. Yeah, chop wood, carry water.
Oh, I like that. I'm gonna add it to my list. The other one that I read recently, well, it's been a while, but again, a parable. John Gordon's book, "Row the Boat."
Yep.
That's another good one, and that came out of the Minnesota Gophers football coach. That's another good one.
And make sure everybody's rowing the oars in the same direction.
That's right. Yeah.
And that goes back to what we were talking about earlier. And you said it. You've got a high school coach in the boat. You've got a AAU coach in the boat. You've got a parent in the boat.
That's right. Friends.
You've got
right.
these
social
people,
media.
Friends. Social media, and you may have a goal as to where you want to get that boat to get to, but if you're fighting, if one side of is rowing one direction and the other side's rowing in the different direction, you're not going anywhere. And a quote that really has stuck with me for 30 plus years is John Wooden's "Don't mistake activity for achievement."
Yeah. Yep.
It's not good enough to be in the gym, either as a coach or as a player, if you don't have an intention. There's something that you want to focus on that given day. So, just because you're on a boat and you've got all these people in there, you're not going to get where you want to get to if you've got people going in different directions. And
no, that's a good analogy. Absolutely right. I have this question that just came to me, and this isn't I don't want it to be this is not a rant but you've been coaching a long time, 30 years, and look back, maybe like your first 5 years of coaching, and look at the type of child that you were coaching or young person you were coaching to today's athlete. What's changed? And it's not a negative. It's what's the difference between those two athletes?
Well, the athletes are different. I will never forget this, and this was probably 30 years ago.
Yeah,
listening to Bobby Knight, and somebody asked a question similar to that, Bill, and he said, kids are not different. It's the adults that have changed.
Interesting.
So he was saying that, from the point when he said that to decades previous, that the kids are still the same, but now the parents and the coaches and the adults in their life, the teachers, they're softening to a degree, or whatever word you want to use, that would create a change. But the kids are no different. That is not the same now, though. These kids have so many different influences.
Yeah.
And I know that people will disagree with this statement, and some people want to just say, well, you can't just continue to blame the pandemic. But the pandemic has created a residual in some of these kids' lives that are the age of high school students. When we went through that, my kids were in kindergarten and second grade. And I don't think it affected them that greatly. I think it was an inconvenience. Yeah. But to the high school kid who was maybe in middle school, who was having expectations lowered a little bit because you're sequestered in a room, families are just trying to survive. There's no playbook for how do you parent during a pandemic. So I think where kids probably needed to hear no, where a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old needed to hear no, how do you say no? I'm just trying to survive in a household.
Right.
So, that's
peace,
not it's
right?
not a statement of judgment. It's a statement of survival.
Right.
It's a statement of survival. So now we have these kids who have, they've that's part of their socialization, part of their human development. was not really hearing no when maybe they needed to hear no, or having the bar raised when it needed to be raised, yet it was lowered just to make sure that these kids were getting through this. Now you talk about, you add the social media, and you add this attention deficit that is happening because it's all quick dopamine. It's all just quick hits. And there is nothing quick about improvement. There is nothing quick about building a team and taking a team and making it like there's no let's just go to Amazon and in 8 hours, if I'm lucky, it's sitting there on the doorstep. Like getting better is having to walk to a sporting goods store and pick it out and walk. So I think to shorten this, let's get to the point. I think the fact that they see things happening too quickly, or they expect things to happen too quickly, and that works against them. You and I, I'm older than you, but still in our generation, things came we understood things coming more slowly.
Thumbtack presents Uncertainty Strikes. I was surrounded. The aisle and the options were closing in. There were paint rollers, satin and matte finish, angle brushes, and natural bristles. There were too many choices. What if I never got my living room painted? What if I couldn't figure out what type of paint to use? What if I just used Thumbtack? I can hire a top-rated pro that knows everything about interior paint, easily compare prices, and read reviews. Thumbtack knows homes. Download the app today.
There she goes, first solo drive.
Are we ready for this? Absolutely.
Our AAA agent, what are you doing here?
Well, same as always, helping you protect what matters most. Like when you added her to your auto policy, or when you switched to AAA insurance and saved.
So you've been here the whole time?
Yep, plus we're available 24/7 for claim support, in case you ever need it.
Shouldn't she be home already?
It's been 12 seconds.
Visit AAA.com/insurance to get a quote today.